You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Welcome to Thursday. My name is Brock.
I'm Dalby. I took my oldest, Alex, to go Halloween costume shopping. They got one of those, with the inflatable ones, but it's a rubber chicken.
Oh, cool.
Which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, that's always a hit at school.
As we were walking around the Spirit, though, to look at the Halloween costumes, we saw the dog costume selection. And she was like, because we have a dog now, Penny. She was like, can we get a costume for Penny? And I wanted to ask you, because you've had two dogs forever. Do you dress them up for Halloween?
Courtney has costumes that she's put on them before, but I always feel bad because they just look miserable in them.
That's the thing, right? Like, I saw they have some, it's Spirit. They've always got stuff. I've seen some funny costumes on the dog. But I would feel so bad walking this dog, A, with all the people out on the streets, a bit of a skittish dog, and then also the embarrassment of it being in a costume.
I always wonder in those situations, like, are the other dogs like, what a loser?
Right? If we could understand dogs. Do they see a dog in a costume or even just like the winter outfits and stuff and go, yo, you look great? Or they're like, ah, you nerd.
I always think in the winter with the little like booties ones that like dogs must be saying to each other like, learn to walk, idiot.
Yeah, oh, look, someone has fragile paws.
The best part is, I don't know if you noticed it, like at the Halloween stores for those dog costumes, the dog models they have on there look depressed as fuck, dude.
Right. All the other costumes is like some dude or some gal or like kids dressed up in the costume having the time of their lives, and then it's like a bulldog just fucking miserable.
It's like a hostage photo. They're like looking at the camera like, save me. What the fuck?
I'm dressed like a hot dog. I didn't do anything wrong to deserve this.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for
Apparently in Guelph, Ontario, there have been large quantities of butter recently stolen from two separate grocery stores.
Like, from the front or from the back? Like, are people just grabbing it off the shelves and running out the door?
Apparently, but they're taking a lot of butter. So last week at two separate stores, one store had about $900 worth of butter.
Okay, well, that's like 10 sticks.
I mean, butter is pretty expensive right now.
900 is a lot, though. Like, I feel like it would be difficult if you were just carrying in your arms $900 in butter and trying to make a getaway.
And then they say a couple days later, two males stole 4 cases worth of butter.
Damn.
More than $950. So it's basically almost $2,000 worth of butter stolen in a couple of days. And police are also saying that this has been a huge problem in Guelph, where there have been, quote, large-scale butter thefts over the past 10 months.
Somebody is about to open a seafood restaurant and take over that town.
Well, that's what I'm curious about. Like, do you think someone's flipping the butter, or like, what's...
I love the idea of, like, seeing a dude with a trench coat or, like, a windowless van being like, hey, you need butter?
Yeah.
I got you hooked up.
You got to check Facebook Marketplace and see if anyone's...
If anybody's offloading mass quantities of butter. So do you sell it by the stick? Do you sell it by the pat? Hey, I got a teaspoon of butter for you, $2.
And I mean, it is in a sense like the perfect crime because, I mean, is it being used for cooking?
Right.
Are they reselling it to restaurants?
They're laundering the butter by melting it down and then re-solidifying it into sticks?
Yeah. You really can't catch them once it's gone. And I will say, I mean, bake sale season is upon us with the holidays coming up.
Oh, you think this is like people stealing butter for their gram to make Christmas treats?
Maybe. All I'm saying is we've got some smooth criminals on our hands right now.
I'm just saying Mrs. Jefferson has a suspicious amount of pies cooling on the windowsill these days.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Kyle, you've got a theory on why all this butter is being stolen in Guelph?
It's crop season, so I assume you're melting it down and infusing it with weed. Right?
Everyone's just making weed butter right now?
Go to your farmer's market.
That's
You'll find the culprit.
Tell us the truth. You've been stealing butter?
I know some people. No.
Cheers, brother.
Thanks for the down low.
No, not a problem. Thanks, guys. Bye.
That would make sense.
I'm not saying, but I'm just saying Kyle's a little too knowledgeable on the situation. You know what I mean?
I did give a Google because I was curious with all this butter being stolen. I looked up like what is the most stolen foods at grocery stores.
Oh, okay. Oh, at grocery stores, because I was going to say if it's elsewhere, it's those little packets of jam from restaurants.
Yeah.
But from grocery stores.
From grocery stores, there's a article from Global News in 2022, and they say that like meats is the big one, kind of like in Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, right.
But then also they say that the most stolen food across the entire world, takeout grocery stores, just in general.
Yeah.
Cheese is the most popular item to steal.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know. I was trying to think of I guess cheese comes in like those packages that make it kind of easy. Maybe people are stealing Baby Bells, but you think about some of them big cheese wheels you'll see in the store. Like, how are you getting out with that? Mm-hmm. How are you hiding that in your jacket?
This article says that nearly 4% of the world's cheese inventory is nicked each year.
That seems like
That's a lot of cheese.
Like, everyone loves cheese unless you're lactose intolerant, and even then, people will take pills so they can still eat cheese.
Yeah.
4% of the world's cheese is a lot of cheese.
That makes me feel lactose intolerant just thinking about it right now, man. I feel backed up.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
How we doing, Mr. Vasectomy?
Yeah, I'm good. I went through a lot of my... I don't know if I'm being too graphic when I talk about this stuff. I went through my pre-appointment checklist yesterday. There were certain things that had to be prepared so that I could
you
go in.
You did your grooming and stuff?
Yeah. So I can go in tomorrow and get it all done. Mm-hmm. I saw, you know what, though? Because they sent an email, and it has this hey, click a little video to sort of get to know more about what the clinic does and what your procedure is like. And again, all I've ever really known is no scalpel, no needle. That's the big advertising campaign. But they showed a graphic with some CGI about how it actually goes, and I'm like, oh,
that's gnarly.
I didn't want to see. I wasn't nervous until I saw that video, and now I'm like,
a little more intense than you were expecting.
Well, I don't even know what I was expecting, but now I'm now that I know, I'm like, oh, that sucks.
Knowing is half the battle, brother. Apparently, we are in vasectomy season right now.
I didn't realize that there was a time of year.
Yeah, I did a Google yesterday. They say actually the beginning of November and December, basically before the end of the year, are peak vasectomy seasons.
Oh.
They say it spikes because everyone has met their deductible for the year around that point.
They're trying to use up their benefits.
Yeah.
That makes sense, but can I posit a different theory as to why so many guys would have vasectomies late October, early November? One, it takes a while to get in. When you book, a lot of these places you have to book. I had to book a couple months in advance.
True.
Which means that most guys getting vasectomies late October into November probably booked around mid to late summer, when their kids were home from school every day.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
You had to spend every day this summer with your children, and you were like, all right, Doc, let's put an end to this.
The kids are driving you insane. You're like, I can't do this again.
No one's booking during school when for 8 to 9 hours a day, there's someone else's problem.
It's a great theory.
2 months out of the year when you have to be a full-time parent, you're like, nah, get this out of me.
No, it's funny you say that because they say November and December are the biggest months, but then apparently there is a March Madness kind of trend where in the States specifically, there's a huge percentage of dudes that get vasectomies in March specifically just so they can sit on the couch and watch March Madness.
Get out of here. Mm-hmm. Imagine wanting to watch basketball so bad that you permanently alter the direction of your biological life.
It's just bros looking for an excuse not to get off the couch. Talk about being a true baller, man.
Honestly, that is ball is life behavior. Yeah. You sacrifice 2 for 1.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I was wondering if there is a peak vasectomy season, then when is peak baby season?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just did a Google here, and it does say a high percentage of babies are born in the summer, specifically in August.
Oh.
which would mean
9 months back.
most kids are conceived in November, and I'm trying to figure out why that would be.
So that, it would be like late November to early December would sort of be the window for August
Because
babies.
there's no special holidays. I mean...
American Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I mean, but also, like, I feel like that's the worst time to get it on. You're all bloated. You just ate a bunch of food.
Yeah, like, what are you thankful for today? Not having dependents. Oh, we ruined it.
Oh, that
Damn
stuffing
it.
makes me want to stuff you up.
But, okay, hang on. Because you just said earlier that peak vasectomy time is beginning of November. Now we're getting conceived babies in late November. I think that's people who didn't wait the appropriate... I was told that I have to wait 3 months plus a certain number of evacuations, so to speak.
Sure.
Before they'll test to make sure that the pipeline has been cut.
So your theory is that there's a good percentage of guys that got the vasectomy
and just went, freedom, sweet freedom.
Or there's even some dudes getting the last hurrah in maybe before the vasectomy.
Right, not realizing that, listen, you're still hooked up for plumbing, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then come August.
I do like that theory because my next thing was going to say the only, special thing that happens in November is Remembrance Day. And I was going to say that's a really weird way to honor the troops.
That's dark. Yeah. That's real dark.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Feels like the term cat lady has been in the news a lot lately, sort of been batted around back and forth with political implications and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of got me thinking, cat guys get a real pass, eh?
Yeah, because there's most definitely crazy cat guys, but it's always cat lady.
Nobody ever makes fun of dudes who are way too into having cats. It's always the crazy cat lady.
Well, what's the male equivalent of the crazy cat lady then?
That's what I was trying to think, because I was like, does it go to pets? Because, some dudes, the way that they act with their dog... You'd think that their dog was their, lifelong best friend.
They do say dog is man's best friend, but I will say, I think if you were going to go the animal route in that, it's got to be reptile guy.
Oh, yeah. Dude who owns, a big giant lizard, or what are those things? The Komodo dragon?
The snakes, all that. And they never just have one. They've always got the whole Amazon in there, crickets all over the house, so many damn heat lights the city thinks they're running a grow-op.
Isn't that just your house?
Yeah.
To some extent.
This is my girlfriend, basically.
You're right, though. The way that dudes will walk around their house with a snake, draped across their shoulders.
You go to their house for a party, and they're always trying to pull it out.
Give me crazy cat lady 1,000 times over before snake guy.
Yeah, reptile guy is wild.
And then if you go past that, things that develop an entire personality of their own, smoker guy also comes up.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
This big green egg guy who's every time he's inviting people over, it's oh, you got to try this. I've been smoking this new exotic zebra meat I got on the internet.
Never shuts up about it.
I've been cooking it for 48 hours straight. It's do you use your oven anymore?
You could also say car guy is pretty close there, right?
Car guy is, all the jokes about the Miata, the midlife crisis, car guy is its own thing, but in multiple stages.
Well, there's different ones. There's luxury cars, then there's Honda Civic dudes, then there's just the guy who's got cars all over his yard. He swears he's gonna fix them up but never will.
That's my father-in-law, dude. He's got cars all over the lot. He's I'm gonna fix that one, then I'm gonna fix that one, then I'm gonna fix that one.
We've got some text coming in here, some people saying gym bro.
Gym rat is definitely a thing, although I will say here in 2024, gym guy and gym gal both deserve the same amount of attention.
True.
Yeah.
Gym guy is being texted a lot. Model train guy is another one.
Yo, model train guy flies under the radar because model train guy doesn't get to show off model trains very often. Then you go to his house for watching the big game or something and you see the basement is completely taken over and you're oh.
Someone just said porn guy, which is kind of the same as model train guy. They're just
not on display in public, but when you go over to the house, there are some telltale signs.
They're lost in their own reality, and their wife probably left them.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I think we can all agree that people at airports are way too impatient with trying to get on and off of planes.
God, everybody's so high-strung. And, I get it. The airport can be a high-stress situation, and at the end of the day, you just want to get where you're going.
Yeah.
Some people walk around there like it's prison.
American Airlines is apparently testing a new boarding system to prevent what they're calling gate lice.
Gate lice is a hilarious term, by the way.
Basically, it's they're describing those annoying passengers who try to prematurely gather in front of the airline's gate before being called to board.
It's always so funny because they'll come up and they'll be like, all right, we're now inviting children, people with children or disabilities to come join the... And you'll see some strapping 200-pound mid-20s jack dude be like, oh, yeah, I'm ready to get on the plane now.
So what they're doing is if a passenger tries to board early with a different group, say you're in zone 4 and you're trying to get in on zone 1, as soon as they scan your boarding pass, there's going to be a loud beep or a buzzer.
Damn.
And the screen will show the gate agent your actual group number, and then they're basically going to shame you to the back of the line.
Which makes sense because as it is right now, the reason that people do this is because a lot of those gate attendants, they're not looking super close.
Sure, yeah.
They don't get paid enough to police that. But now if there's a big light and a big buzzer, it's like you said, it's the shame bell.
That's what I was thinking. It's basically they should just use this. Shame. Whenever someone tries to do that.
And then you got to put your head down and walk to the back of the line. It's oh, this sucks.
I think they should use shame bells on planes all the time. I mean, they could use it for that. They could use it for the people who stand up as soon as the plane lands. You give them the...
Shame. Sit back down.
Same thing for the people who clap on the plane as well. That deserves a shame bell.
Maybe 2.
Shame.
Ooh, imagine if planes could develop the technology that as soon as somebody takes their shoes off on the plane,
yes,
ding, right from their seat.
Not only do you deserve a shame bell, but you deserve to be put on a no-fly list as well.
Boo this man!
The Brock and Dobby Podcast.
Sarah just texted in at 762-555 saying there is actually a shame bell app.
Really?
On the App Store that you can download.
Oh, I need to get this because there's just, between the things that I thought of, the things we talked about, and the texts coming in right now, there are so many shame-bellable moments.
Well, Nate just texted in at 762-555. He says, as someone who works in customer service, it would be really nice to use this on customers whenever someone asks a stupid question.
Oh, my God.
Shame.
Or just anyone who's, being disrespectful to, customer service workers.
Retail,
servers, stuff like that. To see someone being a dick to a minimum wage worker or whoever, to just be able to shame them instead of getting into a fight and an argument.
But then again, how nice would it be to when you go to McDonald's and they're the ice cream machine is down and you could just... Shame.
You know what? I've kind of gotten over the ice cream machine. I just expect it's not going to work. Well, I'm using the shame bell at McDonald's for the person who gets to the front counter and goes, what do I want?
Oh,
shame!
Just thinking about McDonald's, Tim Hortons, any of that stuff, the dude who takes way too long in the drive-thru ordering stuff,
absolutely,
that deserves a shame bell.
Shame bell and a go on in.
Yeah.
Someone texted in and said, when people don't move out of the left lane on the highway when you're driving, wouldn't it be great? Because cars can sense when you're drifting out of the lane. If cars could sense when you've been in the left lane and they just shut off your radio and start playing Shame.
Yeah. I think even it's the Teslas that you can set the personalized horns for, right?
That's right.
That would be clutch to have this on there. Shame. People not turning on their signals, people cutting you off, all that kind of stuff.
People won't let you in. Oh, there would be so many uses. If I could hit the horn and it played the shame bell, I might never stop.
If you have a blow box in your car...
That's the sound, but only if you fail.
Yeah.
If you go to blow it and it doesn't work, shame.
You know how they say that it'll set off all your car alarm sensors? It just repeats, shame, 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 shame.
The Brock and Dobby Podcast.
Have you heard of the TGL?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's a new golf league coming in January. They just released their schedule. It's backed by Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy. So it's a legitimate thing. And apparently what they're going to be doing is playing inside the SoFi Center. They've got a facility built with some state-of-the-art massive simulator, like you see at like bars and stuff like that. They'll play all of their drives and fairway shots on this simulator, and then they've got this state-of-the-art putting green that has like pistons and actuators and all this stuff underneath it so that they can like change the green.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So wherever the simulator will be like, hey, your ball goes here, and then they'll put it and they'll adjust the green to the slopes and the hills and
they're
everything.
playing seriously on it?
It's a full league. It has all these pros. They're trying to sell it as like a team sport. So like Tiger Woods is going to be one of the competitors. His team is the Florida Jupiter Lynx.
Okay.
And they've got the New York Golf Club, the Bay Golf Club, Boston Common, and Atlanta Drive. And you're supposed to cheer for. But I think the coolest thing is that while they're doing this, and it's going to be televised in multiple events and all this stuff, they're miking up all of the golfers.
Ooh, I'm going to love it when they duff a shot and you hear that. Because that's my favorite part about watching golf is when the hot mics pick up the off.
Right, when they start cussing and stuff like that. Now it's not going to be like, oh, someone left their mic on. It's hot mics the whole game. Like, that's the appeal. And I don't know, maybe ESPN will like censor the cussing or whatever.
Well, the other thing is I've heard some of the fellas like on the PGA Tour, they talk some smack.
That's just it. Like, imagine listening to $1 million golf professionals just absolutely laying into one another the way you would to your boys on like a 9-hole course at the local.
Oh, well, I was going to say I've got a back pocket full of chirps whenever I'm out with the boys.
Well, let's hear some. Let's get into some golf chirps.
I mean, the easiest one is like, that's a nice shot for you.
Right.
That one just stings anyone.
You can tell they're beaming with pride because they did hit a nice shot and you hit them with the for you. They're just like, oh.
Or if like someone hits it off into the woods, you do the classic, like, I'm pretty sure it opens up over there. Or you'll find it.
Dude, PETA is going to declare you a menace if you keep aiming for the birds like that.
Or even like, I mean, we've all like, most of us suck at golf.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
So the best thing you can say to someone when they're getting mad is like, you're not good enough to get angry.
Right. You should have expected this coming in here today.
Yeah. The putting ones are my favorite, is like if you blast a putt way too long, like that's too much club.
Oh, dude, but when they come up too short, just be like, hey, did you want to go grab an adult to hit the next one for you?
Yeah. Or you could just be like, oh, had the right club though.
Yeah.
Or even if you lip it, I always call that the Monica Lewinsky.
Oh, Jesus. Plus, I love the idea of the simulator, too, because it's going to bring in, like, a whole extra world of chirps.
Yeah.
Like, imagine the guy, like, you're trying to do your approach shot, and it just comes up way short. Just be like, hey, I don't think the simulator is sensitive enough to pick up a shot that bad. I think you're going to have to hit it a little harder.
My favorite of all time was this summer, my buddy was using a Nike golf ball, which is a shame Tiger's not sponsored by Nike anymore. But my buddy drops his Nike ball down and then duffs it straight into the woods. And I looked at him and I was like, all you had to do was just do it, and you didn't.
You had one job.
The Brock and Dalby podcast is brought to you by the Brock and Dalby 50/50 raffle in support of Breast Cancer Canada.
Buy your ticket today at bcc5050.ca or click the link in the podcast description.